Thank you, Mark. And now for something completely different. Literary horror, as our host Ruth noted it in the email this morning. Thank you very much for coming today. I wondered how many of you would have curiosity about Edward Bulwer Lytton, Lord Lytton, the 19th century English writer. My first task is to quiz you. How many of you have actually read any of Sir Edward George Bulwer Lytton's many novels? I'm glad we're unanimous in that. He was quite prolific. You may not know that he wrote The Last Days of Pompeii, 1834, which was made into a movie 3 times in the 20th century. In that novel, he coined the expressions, "The pen is mightier than the sword," "The great unwashed," and "The almighty dollar." He has immortality just for those 3 stages. For the record, I know you people are taking notes because you need to go back and get a book report on this. Lord Lytton lived from 1803 to 1873, and the sales of his many novels rivaled that of Charles Dickens during both their lifetimes. In contrast, Lord Lytton's popularity nosedived after the end of the Great War in 1918. Reading Leslie Mitchell's 2000 biography entitled Bulwer Lytton, The Rise and Fall of a Victorian Man of Letters is the perfect antidote to insomnia. Most ReadAloud programs involve authors or readers covering an entire work, such as this, a chapter or an entire poem or short story. In contrast, I am going to read but one sentence, actually a series of one sentences, by a wide range of worldwide authors inspired by the great Bulwer Lytton. Of course, I'm going to start with a seminal sentence from Bulwer Lytton's novel Paul Clifford, 1830. I personally became aware of this famous first line many years ago, reading in the comic strips Charles Schulz's Peanuts, the soon-to-be overused phrase from Snoopy typing atop his doghouse. It was a dark and stormy night. Only years later did I realize its source. Quiz again. How many of you have dipped into San Jose State University's web version of the Bulwer Lytton Fiction Contest for any purpose, including and especially a good laugh? Yes, I know you good people are. Yes. BulwerLytton.com. People rushing out now to do that. Ruth sent you the link today in the message. Well, San Jose State is billed as, quote, a whimsical literary competition that challenges entrants to compose the opening sentence to the worst of all possible novels, end quote. It was begun in 1982 by Professor Scott Rice at San Jose State. He gets thousands of entries per year. Think about that when you're writing in a competition. As I begin, I ask you to listen carefully. Remember, it's only one sentence. Read Bulwer Lytton's original, and then Baker's dozen that have inspired me to include. It takes about 30 to 60 seconds to read each one. There may be something, spoiler alert here, something to offend each and every one of you. I work thematically because the award has categories such as overall winners and runners-up, detective category, science fiction category, juvenile category, romance, vile puns, and dishonorable mention. I'll sample from each. And I know what good sports you all are. Here we go. This is the source of all that. I read from the 1903 reprint of Paul Clifford, first written in 1830. Book's in pretty good condition. You saved it great. You're just in time for these sentence, are you? It was a dark and stormy night. The rain fell in torrents, except at occasional intervals when it was checked by a violent gust of wind which swept up the streets, for it is in London that our scene lies, rattling along the housetops and fiercely agitating the scanty flame of the lamps that struggled against the darkness. Imagine reading 509 more pages of this in 8-point type. That inspiring prose had led me to this baker's dozen that I have chosen. First, from a dishonorable mention from 2009, written by Maisie Yates of Jacksonville, Oregon. You done? You could jack it on you, turn off your cell phones. It was a dark and stormy night. Well, not pitch dark so much as plummy. You know, that time of night when it turns to that kind of eggplant color, which I hate. Eggplant, not the time of night. And it wasn't stormy so much as drizzly, like a cold that's not so bad but really annoying, where you sound a little plugged up and all your mucus just sorts of hovers at the edge of your nostrils or drips down the back of your throat. It was like that. Thank you. The science fiction winner from 2002 was written by Anna Rothberg of Sao Paulo, Brazil. I told you this was a worldwide group of writers. It was a dark and silent night in Pluto, a planet nobody had ever taken seriously because of its name, which reminded us of a funny cartoon dog. And it being so far from the sun and having no atmosphere, which seemed unimportant as it was obviously lifeless, we thought. In those happy and carefree days when all the world had to worry about was war, famine, pestilence, and death. I'll read slower for the rest of you. The dishonorable mention of 2009, and a real favorite, written by Lisa Milesnick of Willoughby, Ohio. You may know her. He slowly ran his fingers through her long black hair, which wasn't really black because she was preferenced by L'Oreal because she was worth it. Her carrot-colored roots were starting to show, and it reminded him of the time he covered his car's check engine light with a black electrical tape, but a faint orange glow still shone around the edges. Moving right along here. I told you there's only 13. We're almost done. A runner-up for historical fiction in 2009 by Joseph Astley from Kirkland, Quebec. This one relates to our library's fine Nathaniel Hawthorne tradition. On a fine summer morning during the days of the Puritans, the prison door of the small New England town of Boston opened to release a convicted adulteress. The scarlet letter A embroidered on her dress, along with the scarlet letters B through J. A veritable McGuffey's reader of scarlet letters. One for each little tyke waiting for her at the gate. This is good stuff, isn't it? A miscellaneous dishonorable mention from 2009 by James Biggie of Melrose, Massachusetts. It's for you old movie lovers. Rosalita came in looking. The look of surprise, not unlike that of Hedy Lamarr in the 1947 version of Samson and Delilah, where she learns that Samson will marry the woman, portrayed by Angela Lansbury, but with less fervor than that of Joan Crawford's 1948 version of Mary Pierce, discovering her daughter, played by Anne Blythe, was to run away with her Mildred's boyfriend, to discover that Ernesto had once again left up the toilet seat. Winner of the romance category of 2008 by Jeannie Villa of Nevada, Bill swore the affair had ended, but Louise knew he was lying. After discovering Tupperware containers under the seat of his car, which were not the off-brand containers she bought to save money, but authentic, burpable, lidded Tupperware. And she knew he would see that woman again, Because unlike the flimsy fake containers that should always be recycled responsibly, real Tupperware must be returned to its rightful